Hello, welcome. Today on the Chad Daybell trial, there was finally the witness I've been waiting to hear from. That is Emma Daybell Murray. She is Chad Daybell's daughter, and I've done a couple of videos about her. I've been curious to see what is her take on this whole thing. How is she going to be now that everything is known? What would that look like? And now we know. And I will say this. Wow. 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 I was shocked. I was shocked at what she said. I think it might have been a slip up, but a little bit of information that looked to me like she was exposing her father, and she was definitely a witness for her father. So her little slip up could be significant. Let's talk about it. Welcome to A Life Without Parole. What was Emma's slip up, you might ask? Well, I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, but don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video out. The witnesses today that were on the stand were for the defense, and those witnesses were Emma, Chad's daughter, Garth, Chad's son, and Joe, Emma's husband. And these were all very interesting witnesses, as well as Garth's attorney. And after the day was done, I have to say, it was very obvious that they were there on behalf of Chad. They believe in him and they want to help him. And they talked however they could to help him. But there were some slip ups. Let me just say, there were pieces of the truth that can really be used against Chad in the long run. If the jurors caught it, I wonder if they did. I'd love to hear from you. First of all, the first thing that was brought to the attention was that Emma did not want an autopsy for her mother. She was not interested in that at all. And she even went so far as to say she doesn't think anyone should ever have an autopsy. Yeah, well, that doesn't really work in the case of murder. I can tell that the children were upset at the way they were treated by the investigators. But in my opinion, the investigators didn't know at the time who was the murderer. And so they had to treat everyone as if they were suspects. And they definitely were not getting help from those children. And I always think, if you really are innocent in it all, or if Chad is innocent in it all, you would do anything you could to help find missing children. And then once those children were found in your yard, wouldn't your mindset then change? Unless you already knew. All right, the children are not on trial here, but it does make me wonder. Let's just say that. I think it's interesting. They showed the video of Chad talking to his daughter Emma when he was in the police car before he was officially arrested and taken to the station. That is a very telling interview or very telling video, and it shows how Chad is manipulating his daughter Emma to do and say what he wants. And it was brought up in the trial that she either calls or visits her father every single day. And it appears that the prosecutors have some video recordings of Chad asking her to tell a different story, how to explain different things. These are provable things. And she denied it, but I can't believe that the prosecutors would bring it up if they didn't have the proof of it. During that interview, another piece was talked about the upstairs portion of the house, which is that A-frame area in the back, the cozy cone or something like that. And it was asked whether or not there was a mattress up there. I mean, Chad told Emma in the video to get the mattress from in the cozy cone. Am I saying that right? Whatever that A-frame add-on in the back of the house was. It's interesting that she is trying to make it as if that's not a significant thing. And if she hasn't followed the trial, she may not know why it is significant. But according to testimony early in the trial, Chad had said that he went upstairs or his wife went upstairs or something. And they're trying to say, well, that witness isn't credible because there is no upstairs in their house. Well, there is an upstairs that had a mattress, and some of the children would stay up there, but there wasn't heat and there wasn't air conditioning. I don't even know if the house has air conditioning, so they wouldn't be up there in the winter, but they could possibly be there in October. I don't know. It was interesting when the prosecutors brought up the fact that Emma knew that there were bodies located on the property. And I wondered, like, how do you explain that? How do you not question your father if you know those children were buried on that property? Emma also testified that they would bury all types of animals in their pet cemetery, and it didn't matter if they were actual pets or if they were roadkill, so to speak. But Garth testified differently than Emma. And I think this is going to be a problem for the defense because Garth says that the raccoons were buried in the compost behind a shed, not in the pet cemetery. And that seems more reasonable. You know, you bury a pet where the pet cemetery is, which then, according to Garth, he was told that the alleged raccoon was buried behind the shed, not in the pet cemetery where Tylee's body was found. So things aren't adding up, even according to Garth's testimony. I thought it was interesting that John Pryor kept on saying things to Garth and to Emma, like, if you need a minute, if you need to get a drink or get a tissue or anything, we can stop. But it didn't appear that either of them ever needed a minute. I saw many witnesses on the stand that were more broken up about Tammy's death than her own children. And, you know, everyone is different and they're trying to defend their father, but they don't seem to be broken up about their mother's death, at least not on the court. And I think John Pryor kind of hoped they would. They needed some emotion, and I didn't see it. It's interesting that John Pryor brought up the fact that these Daybell children apparently don't believe everything that their father was teaching, and even maybe their mom believed. And they said something to the effect of their dad taught things like it was taught during Joseph Smith's time. He's more fundamentalist. Well, I don't, I just can't even see. I don't know if they're trying to blur the information, but I don't know of anything. I'm no professional, but I don't know anything that says that during Joseph Smith's time they were talking about zombies and multiple lives and what was some of the other things that you don't, you're translated so you can sin all you want and it doesn't count and all the things that Chad and Lori were claiming. It doesn't tie in with any fundamentalist group that I've ever seen or heard of. It was interesting when they brought up the fact that a person could, according to Emma, in her religion, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that they can give a blessing only if they're worthy. And then they ask, would you consider someone who's an adulterous person a worthy person to give a blessing? And she did say no. So all those blessings that Chad was giving and patriarchal blessings, even according to Emma, would not count. They would hold no water because he was living an adulterous life. But I want to talk about what I think is the biggest slip up of all, and I'm not sure anybody else really caught on to it, but to me it was significant. And I think it was a slip of the tongue, but it was said, and that is when Emma was being asked about her father's behavior the morning her mother died. And she said something to the effect, of course he was upset. Anyone would be who just saw their wife die. Who just saw their wife die? You see what I'm saying? Who just saw their wife die? It's like Emma knows that her dad saw her mom die. But according to Chad's testimony, he was asleep when she died and he woke up to her falling out of bed after she was cold and stiff, which makes no sense. So then he comes up with this, oh, I think I rolled over in my sheets and that made her fall out or something, but the sheets were tangled. It's not adding up. But the biggest thing is that Emma says, of course, her dad's upset because he saw her mother die. I think she's right about that. I think she's being honest about that. Mm. Will the prosecutors use it in their closing statements? I don't know. I don't know. But that's interesting. According to Garth and Emma, they both knew where their dad was. They knew he was in Hawaii with Lori, and they had his phone number. He wasn't hiding out, he wasn't missing, and that they gave the phone number to the police. But let's just put yourselves in their position. Let's just say that your father is, all across the news saying, where are they and where are the children? Wouldn't you be calling and saying, okay, I know, Dad, that you said the children are safe. Can't you just go to the police? I don't know. It's just not adding up for me. I think it's interesting that Emma claims that her mom was not training for a 5K, and yet so many other witnesses have already testified that she was. And then Garth and Emma both say their mom was sick. Everyone else that's not in the inner circle of the family says that she wasn't sick. And then, okay, so she was tired, she was carrying boxes. How does that account for dying in your sleep? I just think about, okay, so Tammy was 50, right at the menopause age. A lot of women at 50 start slowing down and getting tired, but going to sleep from 5, 6, or 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. Emma trying to claim that that's when her mother went to bed because she was just too tired and she slept in. Hogwash. She doesn't even believe it. I mean, it's just ridiculous the kind of stories she's willing to tell. I mean, there's no proof of that in any other testimony. So that was crazy. Another thing that came out was that Emma said that her mom and dad shared, because of their business, they shared each other's emails and passwords, and that either one could get onto either email. And oh, that didn't help her dad's case either, because it was brought out that we know some emails were blocked and deleted, which were Charles trying to email Tammy to say our spouses are having an affair. And now that opened the door to the fact that Chad might have been the one who blocked Charles and deleted those emails. Thank you, Emma. When Garth said that he doesn't think his mom really, like, she knew about paintball guns, but yes, she did. I don't know. I think that that case has been proven so well that a paintball gun with the hopper on the top looks just like the rifle with the scope. When it's coming face at you, I don't think it takes a brain surgeon to figure out when it's that dark, as Garth said, it was dark outside, it was a black gun, he was in all black, and I don't think he proved that at all. In fact, I think he hurt the defense, and it made it more plausible that what the prosecutors are saying, that Tammy thought it could be a paintball gun or it could be a rifle. She wasn't sure, but she was scared, and they were all scared. That's the testimony the jurors need to hear. I think one of the most interesting parts about this whole entire thing that Emma said of course, he saw her die. But the second thing was something that I personally would consider just a blatant, outright lie, in my opinion. And I think everything else, she's just trying to sway a certain direction. Like, oh, my mom was sick. Oh, she was this or that. She didn't go to the doctor, even though she did. Or, she was trying to sway. And so it could be like not just black and white lie, but the part that I think is just a blatant lie is when she claims she went to her parents' house, used their computer because she didn't have a smartphone yet. Are you telling me you don't have any computers of your own? I don't know. And she did the search about what wind direction it was the day that Chad was going to build the bonfire to burn the limbs. We all know what limbs he burned. And I think, man, this is like kind of like the Casey Anthony thing. Who in the house had access to the computer and who, it would have been more believable if Garth would have been the one to say that he did that. But for Emma to say she did it, it makes no sense. She didn't live in that house. She couldn't do a search about what, like, who goes over to somebody else's house and does a Google search? I don't believe it. I think that one is an outright lie. I do think it's interesting that Emma brought out that she and her siblings did not know about their dad's affair until much later. Certainly, they had to have known about it when the bodies were found in the backyard. Wouldn't you be thinking, 1 week after your mom's passing, you go to Knott's Berry Farm and you meet up with Lori? That would be a clue to me. Like, hello, not to mention the fact that Chad got married within 2 weeks. And from what I understand, everybody went to Lori's house to have cookies after the service in Idaho. So for her to say that, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think she's doing the best she can to save her dad's skin, and I think so is Garth. And I guess none of us know what we would do if we were in that situation. Maybe we would. Maybe we would. It's very hard. I think it's hard to judge them based on that, but I do think it's a shame. It's a crying shame that they can't just see it for what all the rest of us seem to be able to see it for what it is. It'll be interesting to see what the defense has for tomorrow. I think this case is getting pretty close to wrapping up. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that Emma had a slip of the tongue by saying that her dad was upset because he saw her mother die? And do you think it's significant? Comment below yes or no, and let me know what you think. And I will see you again soon. See ya.